This video is a replay of a trade I took today. Now, it probably goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. I am not a financial advisor, and trading entails risk. Just because I got these results today doesn't mean that I can get these every day, nor that you can. Remember, the entire premise of the investing project and the $1 million experiment is that I am not an expert, and yet I am learning how to do this. So for heaven's sake, don't just blindly copy me. Instead, find a mentor, someone who is an expert, and join their community. Pay for their mentorship. This approach has worked very well for me, and it likely will for you too. So use this video partly as education and partly as inspiration. After all, if I can learn this, you can too. Oh, right. So today was an interesting one. We had some pullback, as you can see, on the NQ and on the ES and on the YM, but most significantly on the Russell and the M2K. We have 10 red 5-minute candles here in a row. And so the very first green candle was something of interest. Now, I looked at all of these for the same reason, but the number one problem I had with both the NQ and the ES is that the first green candle happened in the middle of, like in the middle of the range. And so I don't love taking a long right in the middle. I wasn't convinced that there was, previous evidence of previous buyers in this particular area. If it had been below the previous day's low, that might have been different, or below the pre-market low, that might have been different. But it wasn't. It was right in the middle of nowhere. And so I didn't like either of these two for that reason. Now, the YM was actually okay. It was below the pre-market low and below the previous day's low, and it looked like it had found support. But I was burned by the YM the other day when UNH had reported some bad earnings or something. There was some thing that weighed it down, and there's only 30 stocks in there, so it has not really been behaving normally since then. So I'm just leaving that one alone for a little bit, which is why I looked at the Russell, at the M2K, and thought, yep, that's the one we're going to try. So I put the trade on, and I got in right at, gosh, what was it? 0.6. This is kind of in the way. 2906.6 is where I actually got in, right there. Okay. And so we'll let this go here. And it was an interesting, and you can see here, it was well below the previous day's low, and it was just about at the pre-market low. And as we see, as soon as I start the trade here, let me run this. Phil. You can see when I pause it for a second. You can see I had room to move the stop up to maybe 20 points or 2.0, 20 ticks below the low. But I didn't want to do that because I believed that there was more evidence of support below the pre-market low. So I left the stop alone at the 100 handle area. And so we let this go. Now, what's interesting here is it looked like it was working and then kind of unsure exactly what it was going to do. And you can see, looking at the rest of the market, that it was, it was just sort of keeping pace with whatever else was going on. But we'll let it go now. I'm gonna keep it going. It actually came down, made a new low here, because again, it was flirting with this, but then a news bar hit. And I think this was, I don't know, the 18th ceasefire or whatever with respect to Iran. In any case, the news bar hit and things just went to the moon. And you can see what's happening here. If I zoom in on this, it's just gone gangbusters. Went right up and picked up my very first stop. And I've got this split now, so I just leave this at break even. So the first of the 4 contracts, 2 of them were taken out at the first stop, and that was the thing that was trailing. The last 2, I just leave it at break even now, and I have another target. The first target was at, I think, 200 ticks. The last one is at 300 ticks. And as you can see here, I've said in previous videos, I tend to tinker with stuff that I shouldn't touch. And so I almost certainly, if I'd been sitting in front of my computer during this time, I probably would have taken myself out of this trade somewhere along the way for, the $200 plus another 150. So I might have made 350 or something like that. And I've commented that probably the best thing that I can do is put on a trade, put my stop in a good spot, put my targets in a good spot, and then leave the room. And this is a prime example of that working, because I actually had an appointment. I left the house. And so I had the trade on, left the house, and just let it do its thing. And as you can see, it took a little while. This is what the 5-minute bars. This was, probably the better part of an hour. It had come all the way back down, but then it started heading north again. And this time is what, 8 a.m. Pacific. And sure enough, it's all the way back up there at target number 2. And if I'd been tinkering with this, I would have taken myself out long before getting to target number 2. But this just highlights the importance of don't mess with it. It either works or it doesn't work, but don't mess with it. So there you go. And almost, well, I guess that was a perfect trade for the targets that were set up there. $500. That's the first target at 200, the next one at 300. And there you go. That was, in fact, there was more to be had as well. If I'd had more contracts, I could potentially have left this on for even further gains. But there you go. So nice day.